Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we are going to start working on Kimberbell's latest project, the Candy Corn Quilt Shop. Isn't this cute? I know you're excited, I am too. So let's go ahead and start in on this. I want to show you a couple things first before we get going. What I want to do is show you again the quilting designs. We talked about this on the last video and I actually changed my mind. I was going to do either 3 or 4 of the quilting designs and I changed my mind and I'm just going to do one. I'm going to use the same design on the background of every single quilt. It's going to make it a lot easier and you know, in a way I think it's going to look cohesive. It's going to tie everything together. And it'll be a little bit different for each block because some blocks I'll do a color of thread that'll make it pop. And other blocks I'll want it to blend in with the color of the fabric. So I'll do a matching thread to match the fabric. So I think it's going to give a really nice overall cohesive design. But again, sometimes you'll see it and sometimes you won't. So I'm doing the same thing with the Red, White, and Bloom series, where I'm using the plaid throughout. So that's what I think we're going to do on this one. So I've chosen the candy corn design. I love that. And it is a candy corn quilt, by the way. So that I thought was appropriate. And these are all the sizes that it came with it. This was $6 for one quilt design. And you get all of these sizes, which we will be using in this project. So what I wanted to really show you was down here under the applique block section. These are the instructions that you'll get when you purchase a design off the Kimberbell.com website. And what I basically want to show you is as we do each block, you're going to need to cut some batting if you're going to be doing this quilting, because part of this process is we will do a placement stitch and then we will put down a piece of batting and then we'll put the background fabric on top and then we're going to stitch out this candy corn quilt design before we get to the applique. So you're going to be needing to cut some batting as we go along depending on what size block that we're working on. And the crucial thing here is you want to look when you're doing each block. Well, you want to look to the trim size. Everything that we're doing is going to be selecting the size of the quilting design based on trim size. And the size of the batting that you're going to need is going to be based on trim size. So say, for example, you're going to be doing a block where the trim size of the block, when we square it up here, just like this, we square it up and it's going to come to 6.5 by 8.5. That's going to be the finished block size when we're all done with our orange pop rulers. So the size of batting that you want to cut for that block is going to be 7 inches by 9 inches. Pretty easy, huh? So just keep in mind your trim size. If it's 4.5 by 10.5, which is the finished block, you're going to want to cut a piece of batting that is 5 by 11 inches. This example up here was a 6.5 by 4 inch, or 4.5 inches, excuse me. Right there, the batting that you're going to cut is a 5 by 7. So as you're doing each one, as we're going along through this project, keep this chart handy. You can print it out and keep it by your embroidery machine so that as you get to the block, you say, oh, okay, now I'm going to need a piece of batting that is 5 by 7. Or I'm going to be using like 2.5 by 2.5 inch. It's a tiny one. There's going to be a flower block that's that size. My batting only needs to be 3 by 3. Okay, so keep this chart handy and refer to it each time you get to a block. And when I say put a piece of batting down, you'll know exactly what size of batting that you need based on the trim size, the final squared out size of your block. Are you ready to start? All right, so let's go over to the embroidery machine and I want you to gather your supplies, your fabric, out of your little plastic, either bags or your plastic pouch system, I want you to look for the one that's called Boo Hoop. We are going to work on this really cute ghost little hoop block right here. So gather your supplies for the Boo Hoop, and I'll meet you over at the machine. Are you ready to get started? I know I am. So let's just jump right in. The design that we're going to do today is going to be one of the easier designs. We're going to start this project like I do all my other ones. We're going to start easy, and then we're going to build up your skills to the most complicated block at the end. So we're going to be skipping around the book, so don't worry about it, but I'm trying to do the ones that will get you going, get your skills set up, and get you more and more confident that you can do this as we work through the project. So if you have your Kimberbell Candy Corn Quilt Shop instruction book, we're going to be starting on the Boo Hoop block on page 14. It's a really cute block with a little ghost that says Boo, and it looks like an embroidery hoop. So we're going to go ahead and get started on it. So just for reference, I have a Brother Dream machine, the original one, so you can see where I'm going on the screen. So let's go ahead and pull up the files that we're going to need to do this block. Let's click on Embroidery, click on the flash drive, and we're going to go to Candy Corn. And we're going to be doing the quilting as we go on each block. So we need to pull up the quilting file first and then the design second. So I have chosen to do that cute candy corn all over quilting pattern, and I'm going to actually use it for the whole entire project for the center, all the blocks. The borders I might do something different, but for the main center blocks, I'm going to use this as a background quilting on all of them. The cool thing is we're going to be able to make this a little different as we go, because we can make the thread blend into our background fabric, or we can make it pop or use a variegated. Whatever we want to do as we go through, depending on the fabric and what's going to be on the block. But we can make it unique that way. So I have chosen to use all the same quilting designs. So here's the trick when you choose your quilting designs. In order to know which size that you need on here, we are looking at the book on page 14, and you want to see what is the finished size of this Boo Hoop block. The squared finished size, when we're all done and we're taking our Kimberbell ruler and we're squaring it up, is going to be 4.5 by 4.5 square. So that means the design that we want to choose is the 4 by 4. Okay, as long as you stick with picking the size that matches your finished block, everything's going to work out perfectly. You'll have plenty of fabric based on what Kimberbell asked you to cut the fabrics based on their calculations. This 4 by 4, if you choose this one, it's going to work out perfectly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click Set. Isn't that cute? And now we're going to add a design. Go back to the flash drive and go back to Candy Corn. And I have the rest of the designs under what I call the main quilt. Aren't these cute? And we're going to go to this very first one, which is called the 4 by 4 Boo block. Isn't that cute? It's going to be fun. And it brings it in, and it's perfect. And we click Embroidery. Okay. Now, you are probably thinking, oh, I can do this in my 4 by 4 hoop. Not quite. The stitching of the quilt design is going to come out here to be 4.5 by 4.5, which will not fit in your 4-inch hoop. So go ahead and use your 5 by 7 hoop and put a piece of poly no-show mesh in your hoop. And let's go to the screen and I'll show you here. Here you go. I used my 5 by 7 hoop and I put a piece of poly no-show mesh in that. I've got white thread in my bobbin, and I'm going to slide this on. And then the last thing you need to get is your little plastic pouch system that we talked about. And you're going to look for the one that you've labeled Boo Hoop. And it's going to have the piece of the green bats, if you're using the kit, and a piece of this little crosshatch in it. And that's the fabric that you're using if you're choosing to use the kit that we're going to be working with right now. Okay, so let's just dive right into this. We are looking at putting a placement line for the batting because we're going to be doing quilt as you go. So let's go ahead and switch this thread out because I have black thread up at the top from another project. Let's put white thread in the top of this machine and we'll get started. So let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the placement line for our batting. Okay, so now let's put our piece of batting down and just make sure that you cover all the edges and make sure everything is going to stitch on the batting. Perfect. And hold it down or tape it and let's tack down the batting. Okay, now let's take this over to the table and we want to trim away all this excess batting. Okay, the hoop's back on the machine, the batting's all trimmed up, and now we're going to do the placement line as to where we're going to put this fabric. And I'm going to go ahead and change now to this cool green fabric that I found to match because it will not only help the placement line be a little bit easier to be seen, it's also going to be what I'm going to use at the following step to quilt this fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and put this green in the top of my machine. So now we are ready to put the foot down and stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Now we're going to place the fabric down and make sure that we cover all of that, kind of visually center it. Looks good, fits perfectly there. And we're going to put the foot down using still the green thread on the top, and we're going to tack down this fabric. And now here comes my favorite time where we quilt this block. And now we're going to use my little candy corn design that I got on Kimberbell.com and we're going to stitch it out. Here we go. Foot down and away we go. That is so cute. Yay! All right, now we're ready for the next step. And that is going to be to put white thread in the top of the machine because we need to stitch out a placement line for the white fabric that's coming up. So let's put white thread up on top. Now it's going to stitch out a circle, which is going to be the placement line where we're going to be putting this fabric in the next step. So let's stitch out the circle. Yeah, see, stitching it in white makes it a little bit easier to see than if we had left it in the green. So make sure you got your fabric facing up, right side up, and then go ahead and position it so that it covers all sides of the circle. It needs to go up just a smidge. We're good on that side. We're a little tight on that side. Let's move it over. We're still good over here. Always double check, because it's easier to double check than it is to take it back out. Okay, now I'm going to use my stylus and hold it down, put down, and go. Let's tack this down. Very nice. So now let's take this off the machine and we're going to take it over to the table and we're going to trim away the excess fabric. And it's starting to come together. Now a little trick too, in case you haven't watched my other videos, is if you ever get a loop like this after you've threaded your next thread, which in this case is going to be black thread in the top of the machine because we're going to stitch out the word boo. If you ever see this hoop, stop, take your stylus, and undo that hoop. You don't want that hoop to stay because there's a very good chance that it's going to wrap itself around this foot, connected to the needle. It will break your needle in a second. So whenever I see that loop at the very beginning after I've threaded my machine, I get rid of that loop before I start. Little trick. All right, so let's go ahead and put the foot down and let's stitch out the word boo. Boo. Yay! Now the next step, we're going to put white thread in the top of the machine because we are going to stitch out the ghost itself. Okay, so let's do white thread in the top. And away we go. Here comes the ghost. Now we need to put black thread back in the top of our machine because now we're going to stitch out the outline of the ghost and the eyes of the ghost. So foot down and stitch away. Looking cute, huh? It sure is. So now let's do the tightening screw, which is like the top of a hoop. And they're saying like a silver. So I'm going to put a bright silver thread up in the top of the machine. And let's stitch this out. So bright silver or a silver that you like on the top of the machine. Very nice. All right, you realize we have one color left to stitch, and that is going to be the outside of the bamboo hoop. So I've chosen this kind of a ivory color. I think that'll be really cool to match with it all. So I'm going to put this thread in the top of the machine. That's one of the cool things I love about machine embroidery is that you can use your artistic license to make things whatever color that you want. So it's really cool because you can literally make this special for you or your loved one who you're going to give it to, just their favorite colors or their favorite theme. It's really awesome to be able to have a craft and a hobby like this that we can customize to our own likes. So pick whichever color you'd like for the outside of your hoop. Put that thread in the top of the machine and let's stitch this out. Love side stitches. Isn't that stinking cute? Look at that. That's adorable. All right, let's take this over to the table and finish it up. Didn't this turn out really cute? I am so excited to see what the rest of this project is going to bring. Kimberbell has done some super cute stuff lately. I just love it. All right, so take it out of the hoop. Put that back together. Get that out of the way. And isn't that cute? Oh, I love it. And I love the background quilting. It's really cool because if you look up close, you see it. But from far away, you really don't. The fabric speaks. It's a perfect combination. Okay, so now we're going to trim this block up. And the instructions say to trim it to 4.5 by 4.5. And if you have the Kimberbell Orange Pop ruler square set, you will be looking for the ruler that is a 4.5 by 4.5. And if you've ever seen any of my other videos, I talk about this outside stitch line. This outside stitch line is where you're going to line this block up to trim it up. So you take your 4.5 inch ruler, put it down, and magically it lines up with, whoops, can you see it? With that ruler. So that's why I said these rulers are an investment, but they're really worth it, because the more you do these projects, the easier the trimming up becomes. They're worth it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to trim this, and now I've got it in position where I want it to be. I'm just going to turn this rotating mat that I have slightly. Again, if you don't have a rotating mat, it's another one of the tools I recommend investing in, because I will not be turning the block anywhere during this process. I am strictly turning the mat to get it into position to where I want to cut. So I'm going to put my fingers down. I'm going to put the blade in that notch. Keep the blade up against this edge of the ruler and cut slowly. Turn it like so. Put your hand down. Very slow and steady. We don't want any cut fingers here. No, no, no. Knock on wood. Okay. Again, turn it. Fingers. Oops, it moved a little bit. That's okay. I can reposition it down and cut ever so slightly there. And one more time. Down and cut very slowly. Okay, so let's see how that did. Oops, caught a little bit on that side. That's okay. That usually happens. So I can just come in here and trim that little corner that got cut. Usually when I do it, it is the corners when I have to go back and trim. It's in the spot where these little slots are, and sometimes I don't get it in and get it going straight away, so my little corner won't get cut. Isn't that cute? All right, well, that's going to be it for this video. I'm changing things up a little bit, and I'm trying to do 2 videos a week for these projects. I work full time, so usually my fun creative time is on the weekends. So what I'm trying to do is not do so much in the videos and cut the videos down in size so that I can do a couple blocks a week. And my goal is to have a video out on the weekend for this project, Candy Corn Quilt Shop, and then another one midweek. So you won't have to wait a full week to get your fix of this cool project. So please subscribe to my channel if you like this video. I really appreciate it because it helps me to be able to do what I do for you. I love showing you how to make the projects and teaching you, and then having you show me your results at the end. That's really, really fun for me. So please subscribe to my channel. Also, please click the like button, because YouTube likes to see if people like the videos or not. And also click those bell notifications, because then you'll be notified every time I upload a video. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is going to be a fun project. I can't wait to do more. So I hope to see you here again on Jolly Molly TV, or next time we will go and dive in and do the next block. Take care, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.